Well, hello and welcome to Talk Leadership with Cedrick. You know, everybody needs a little TLC. Talk Leadership with Cedrick is where we focus on leadership and personal growth with business leaders, educators, and local thought leaders. Our goal is to introduce our audience to leaders who are making an impact with innovative ideas. Our guiding leadership principle is the law of contribution. You know, growing yourself enables you to grow others. You can't give what you don't have, so you must first grow yourself in order to grow others. We believe outstanding leaders like yourself will help us to help others. So tonight we have another dynamic leader with us. Now, you know, every week I like to do a proper introduction of my guest. So let me introduce to you our special guest tonight, Mr. Ron Burke. Ron is a senior project manager at Abbott Laboratories with over 26 years of experience in charge of programs to improve customer interactions across the U.S. Diagnostics Division. His breadth of experience includes sales management, marketing, project management, and sales training. So a wide breadth of experience you're going to have with Ron tonight. Ron earned a master's of business from the University of Texas at Dallas and a bachelor's of business administration from Cal State University in Long Beach. He is a former Army Corps of Engineers officer where he served as a platoon leader in Desert Storm for the 54th Combat Engineer Battalion, the 1st Armored Division, as well as the General's Aide and Company Commander with the 75th Innovation Command in Houston, Texas. He currently serves as the National Chair for the Abbott Veterans Network. So guys, help me welcome my friend and former colleague, Mr. Ron Burke, to the show. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you, Cedrick. Thanks for that introduction.
Absolutely, man. I am so excited to have you here.
Yeah, good to be here.
Well, thank you. Like I said, Ron and I go way back. He's been at Abbott for a long time, over 26 years, and Ron currently lives in and works at our headquarters in Chicago. And see, I still say our. Well, I'm a retiree, so it's still our, right?
Okay.
But Ron used to work here in Houston as a young sales rep. And now he's progressed up the ladder and he's at our headquarters. And so we're going to have a really good conversation with Ron tonight. So Ron, tell the listeners about your journey to leadership and how did you get to where you are today?
Wow, Cedrick, I started thinking about this question, and my earliest memory was as a kid growing up in California playing sports. I was pretty decent at sports, and so my first introduction to leadership was just as captains of football, basketball teams, and having the opportunity to step into those roles and be chosen by my peers to be in those roles, as well as the coaches. And so that's the earliest memory that I have in terms of just kind of starting my quest on the leadership journey, if you will.
Okay, all right. And so you've had a long corporate career, right? With Abbott Diagnostics and a lot of different roles and responsibilities. So help our audience understand what role do you think that your military experience helped you as you transitioned over into the civilian world?
I would say the military helped me in terms of
do you think that the military
being prepared to have people from different walks of life under leadership, and to understand that not everybody is the same, and as a result, you can't treat them the same. And so I think those were a couple of the things that I brought with me when I entered into the civilian world and started managing people and projects and that sort of thing. So.
Okay. All right. And so now, and you've worked in as a sales rep and in sales leadership and project management.
Yeah.
So help us understand. There are people that are listening that's going to tune in right now or tune in when we replay this, and they're going to want to understand, hey, how did he have such a long career in a corporate environment? And here's what people are going to say. Man, it's hard for minorities to matriculate the corporate ladder and have longevity there. And you've definitely managed that and have been at Abbott for a long time. So give us a sense for what things you need to do in your career to progress the corporate ladder.
Yeah, no, certainly I've been blessed, Cedrick, and I think a couple of things. Being humble, being willing to get outside my comfort zone. That is, I came in, as you mentioned, I came into Abbott in sales and had various roles in sales, moved into marketing. And each of those roles required me to change myself, to become uncomfortable, if you will, doing something different that I wasn't used to doing. I mean, quite frankly, coming out of the military into sales, that was very uncomfortable. And then learning the products and that sort of thing. But I would say just being humble enough to raise my hand if I didn't know something, seeking out others that knew the business better than I did, and trying to learn as much as possible from them, asking a lot of questions, and having a passion for what I did. I mean, obviously, what we do is healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of family members enter into our healthcare system, use a lot of our products, and I saw the value that they got out of that. And so the passion came from just being appreciative of, the products and services that Abbott offered, and carrying that with me into each and every role.
Yeah, and carrying what you learned, what you took from the prior role into the new role, and then as you matriculated the ladder and navigated through corporate environments, give us a sense of some of the things that you enjoyed about sales or sales leadership versus being just a sales individual contributor, project management versus some of the other roles.
I noticed early on, coming into my career, that I cared a lot about the customer experience, particularly their response to the products and services that we were providing to them, how I was taking care of them, and so on and so forth. And years ago, we used to be incentivized for feedback that customers provided to us in sales. And I took pride in that. I wanted to make sure that customers felt good about what I was selling to them, the services I was providing, and that sort of thing. And so that was one of the keys that I soon recognized, was that I really genuinely cared about how the customer felt about my products and me and the service that I was offering. And so as I moved through the sales organization, I carried that with me. As I moved into sales leadership, I instilled that in my teams as well. The importance of making sure that the customer felt good about the decision that they made to come with us, because we know sometimes it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I moved into project management. It allowed me the opportunity to marry up my sales experience, marketing experience, with bringing into Abbott an entire customer experience role, where it includes, various functional groups. So I partner with our service organization, our customer service organization, our shipping, our distribution center, and we work on ways that we can improve we offer the customer based on the feedback we get from our customers. So we actively go out and get the voice of the customer and bring that back to the organization and find ways to improve the processes and their experiences.
Well, and that's awesome. So we have some avid colleagues tuning in tonight. We have a former avid colleague, Bernie Armstrong, is tuning in. Said hello.
Hello.
The members, you see him up on the screen.
Yeah. Yep.
Kathy are tuning in and listening. So,
very nice.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Ron, as you matriculate the corporate ladder, you have a lot of experiences. You get to have a lot of fun, right? You get to travel different places. You get to meet a lot of different people. You get to mentor and be mentored by a lot of people, especially in a company like Abbott, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is one or two things or a piece of advice that you would give someone, let's say a young person that's coming into Abbott? I see a lot of times on LinkedIn, someone said, this is my first day at Abbott, or my first week at Abbott. What's a piece of advice you would give them as they start their journey?
Yeah, I would say, as I'm starting to see, younger folks coming to the organization, conversations that I've had with them, it's be inquisitive, ask questions. Don't be afraid to approach folks that may have been around for a number of years and ask questions of them and just learn, be a sponge, and don't go into your shell. Don't hide out. So be inquisitive, ask questions, and be confident in approaching folks that you may be intimidated by for one reason or another. And people genuinely want to help you if you ask them questions.
Yes, absolutely. And it's always exciting to see new, younger people come into the organization. They're so enthused, so much excitement. They bring an energy that they bring. So it's always fun to be able to give some advice to the young people. So, leaders come in all different types of packages with different types of strengths. What strengths do you feel are the most important for a successful leader?
I would say, and I'm kind of using multiple hats now. I'm thinking of myself as a young lieutenant and also newly into Abbott. And I mentioned this before. You'll notice the theme. It's be humble. You're not going to know everything. I kind of think back on my stepdad, who was retired Navy and enlisted. And he told me, he said, don't go into the military thinking you know everything. There are folks that have been in there longer than you, and try to learn as much as possible. So I would say that is one of the things I've carried with me. So being humble. I mentioned asking questions. And I think that is definitely key. And I would also say finding a mentor. And maybe preferably someone that's maybe not in your specific field of interest, but maybe outside, so that you start to broaden your thinking. You get a new, fresh set of eyes on you. And so those are some of the things that I think are key.
Awesome. So here's what he said, folks: be humble, ask questions, and find a mentor. Be humble, ask questions, and find a mentor. Those pieces of advice right there, he should be able to send you an invoice for those 3 pieces of advice right there, because that is key for all new employees. It's also key for young leaders, right? Be humble, ask questions, and find a mentor. And all 3 of those are pointing to you to the fact that you're not the only one that has a good idea.
Yeah,
There are other people around you that have good ideas,
absolutely.
right?
Mhm.
Um, absolutely love that. Thanks for that advice. You know, good leaders. This is amazing that you said that, but good leaders ask great questions,
Yeah.
right? So, what has been some of the best questions that you have either asked or someone asked you that made a big impact on you?
I would say, um, what impact does this have on the task at hand, the customer, the customer's customer? So, what impact is what we're doing? What does that have? What impact does that have on, you know, the customer, the customer's customer? So, that's always been a really good question. I would say why. As another one. Then also, what are some of the limiting factors if they're available? What are some of the things that I should? What are some of the pitfalls that I might want to be looking out for? You know, as I go into this journey. So I want to make sure I'm prepared as much as possible for certain limiting factors that I might be faced with, or I want to know if I'm limited in terms of resources as well, so that I can start to make contingency plans, based on that.
Okay, I love that. What impact does your product or service have on your customer's customer? That right there is just priceless. Thanks very much for that. By the way, I see your good friend Darrell Gresham is in our audience tonight. An old Avid reunion here.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
so folks, as you're looking at Ron, I want you to think about this popular singer, because this is what we always call him, the young baby face.
Oh man. Right.
It's the baby face Edmund. So
Exactly.
that when you look at your computer, go, oh wait, is that baby face? No, that's Ron Burke.
Right. Just don't ask me to sing. I didn't see that on the agenda.
Yeah, that's not on the agenda tonight. We will have that for next time. Hey, so Ron, when we're going to talk some business here tonight, but when you're relaxing and you're just chilling out at home, what's your favorite football team?
49ers fan.
49. Oh man.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes,
show's over.
I'm still grieving. I'm still grieving. Don't say anything too bad.
Well, they definitely they've had their ups and they've had their downs in it, so it's kind of a struggle right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Fortunately, more ups than downs, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, give our audience. I always like to just ask the wild card questions every now and then as well. So, what's your favorite dessert?
Man, I love key lime pie. Big key lime pie. I've actually learned how to make that myself because I like it so much. So
okay, all right, key lime pie and the 49ers. Okay. So, Ron, so tell us where are you originally from?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm originally from Northern California. Grew up near Sacramento, Travis Air Force Base. So, yeah.
All right. Southern California, moved down to Texas with the military and then with Abbott. Now he's in Chicago doing some wonderful things at Abbott Laboratories. And if you didn't hear at the beginning, he's been at Abbott Laboratories, folks, for 26 years. And let me tell you what, you don't stay at a company like Abbott for that long if you're not bringing it, right? It's a great company, but you have to have your A game on every day when you're there. And Ron Burke is with us, and he's been in sales, a sales rep. He's been in sales leadership, project management, and he's also, as a wonderful part of his responsibility, he's also the chair or the leader of the Abbott Veterans Network. So Ron, talk to us about the Abbott Veterans Network.
Yeah, so the Abbott Veterans Network is one of the employee resource groups that Abbott started a couple of years ago. And having been a part of other employee resource groups at Abbott, when I heard about this, when I joined as a member, and then about a year or so in, got a call from John Janaskal and some of the other folks that said, "Hey, listen, we'd like to have you come in and lead the organization for a couple of years." And so, man, I jumped at the chance to lead the organization. And so, what the focus is, we've got several different pillars. We recruit veterans into the organization. The retention piece comes in the form of us making sure that they have a smooth transition out of the military into civilian life. They get the lingo, they start to learn all of Abbott's thousands of acronyms, and the ones they already know from the military, right? And then community service. And the community service part, which is something that really touches my heart, we do a lot of things in the community around the country where we're serving, homeless veterans. We're providing, in one instance, at one of our Arizona plants for nutrition. I mean, they've had a complete plant stand down where they've provided meals to homeless veterans, haircuts, resume writing services, you name it. Out in Columbus, where our nutrition area is, they raise money to send veterans on the honor flight, if you recall, to DC. To visit the wall. And so they're doing phenomenal things out there to support the veterans out there. But more importantly, is just recruiting more veterans into the organization and figuring out ways to retain them. And that's become my passion more recent as well.
Awesome. So what you're saying is Abbott is doing their part in honoring veterans and recognizing veterans' contributions to America, to the organization as well. So they made a group specifically designed to impact veterans.
Exactly. Yes.
That is awesome. And as a veteran, that's a pleasure. And thank you for your service,
Yep.
Ron.
You as well.
Awesome. So Nicole Rankin said, "Man, she was just about to put in a request."
Don't do that.
So give us 2 or 3 things, Ron, that an individual can do to help get into healthcare sales. We hear, in fact, we'll talk about this in a little bit. What we go to National Sales Network, we go to different recruiting events to interview people and recruit people for Abbott, and we hear people saying they want to get into healthcare. Give our audience 2 or 3 things that an individual can do to help get themselves into a healthcare sales role.
So I will say, you heard me say mentor. So again, nothing wrong with reaching out to someone that's in the industry that you want to get in. So if it's healthcare, we've got LinkedIn now, which we didn't have when we were coming up through the organization, but now that's a social network with folks that are in the industry. Start to find out a little bit about it. 1 to 2 years even before you're thinking about going in there. Into the sales. And then if you're able to get into roles where you're selling, you're starting to hone your skills. You're starting to then participate in, say, National Sales Network or other organizations that are affiliated with sales. And now you're starting to build your network and expand your personal brand as well out there. And so I would say those are 2 huge areas that I would say, to really focus on if you want to get into sales. And just, again, most importantly of those, let people know that that's what you want to do. Don't assume that they know that, and stay in contact.
I love that. And I'm actually typing that in so that people can get it. To get in healthcare sales, get you a mentor, get on social media platforms to highlight that's going to highlight those things, and that's recruiting in those areas, and then get into sales network organizations.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I like what you also said. Let somebody else know that's what you want to do. You know, we when we think of you know, junior people coming up in an organization, sometimes they say, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they're holding it to themselves. They're not letting other people know.
Right.
So talk about how does that hurt your career?
Well, I mean, what ends up happening is if you don't let folks know, they don't know how to help you. Then when things don't materialize, you become resentful, maybe of others. You then turn off your dream of getting into sales, and you become resentful, and then you might find yourself in a situation where you're not happy. Remember, I talked about passion earlier. So you find yourself in a position where you're not passionate about what you do, and then that'll resonate in the performance that you have in that in the role. So, you know, again, one of the things you didn't hear me say that ESP came as part of my learnings out of the military. So mind, right? So you have to share with folks and let them know specifically, because again, I think in talking to young folks, they automatically think that you know what's on their minds. And for one reason or another, they're afraid to really just put it out there. And I think you got to be bold enough to do that.
Yes. And, you know, Gresh just said, talk about the willingness to be relocatable.
Man, I can tell you, you know, when I came into the organization straight out of the military, and having met Daryl and others, that was one of the things he always mentioned. And scenario he used is that you got to be relocatable. And the scenario that he used, and I laugh about it all the time, is he says you can always get on a plane, maybe a little difficult now, but you can always get on a plane to see Big Mama and Big Daddy or whatever, and your family members. But you got to be willing to relocate, and that will help your progression through the organization. You mentioned you know, my journey. So it was actually, you know, after college, I went into the military first in Germany, and then with Abbott. So I've moved more with Abbott than I did with the military. And so that willingness to relocate made a huge difference.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, Ron, people typically want to go to Houston or Dallas, Atlanta, DC, you know, these major cities, right? New York area. Well, right. I was interviewing a guy, and he said, look, I wanted him to go down to Corpus. He's like, I don't want to go to Corpus. Yeah. And in fact, Nimmers knows this guy, and because Nimmers was the one that brought him into the organization. And he said, well, I don't want to go to Corpus. You know, I want to come to Houston. I said, well, I don't have anything in Houston. So here's what happened. Cedrick Singleton, right? So I'm going to reach out to Cedrick Singleton and talk to him. I said, okay, no problem. Well, he called Cedrick. Well, see, what I didn't tell him is Cedrick started in Corpus.
Right.
But here's what happened. He ultimately decided to accept the position. In fact, Nimmers was the one that moved him, brought him in and moved him down there. And here's what happened. 6 months later, a position came available in Houston. And he and I had that conversation, and then we brought him to Houston. But people get so locked in, they want to go here, or they don't want to go to these other places that we have openings, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't realize that things could change.
Right.
And if you're in, you could get moved right into that spot, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think in early times at Abbott, you know, you would spend, you know, probably, you know, at max 18 months in a particular location. You know, when I came into the organization, I didn't necessarily want to go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which was my first time. I'd never been there. But I was there 18 months, you know, go in, you do the job, and then I moved to Houston, which is where my mom and other relatives were. But to your point, other opportunities opened up. So you got to have an open mind and be flexible as well.
Yes, absolutely. Being open-minded and flexible and being willing to say, I'm going to sacrifice now for long-term gain. I think that's what people miss.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because the on the other side of this, Ron, and I spent 22 years there, and some of the people that are watching have been there, were there for well over 20 plus years as well. And you understand that there are going to be some things in your career that go your way, and some things in your career that you're going to have to take a back seat on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's the long term picture that you need to be paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, networking, meaning networking within the organization. So now you're in the organization, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the power of networking, whether it's within your division or it's across divisions or whatever. What's the impact? Let me ask it a different way. How does networking help you along your journey?
Well, I mean, first off, people get to know you, get to know what you do, the impact you're having on the organization. There are opportunities to also find out if you can be of service to something someone else is doing in a totally different functional area. And by doing that, now you've just multiplied your network, if you will. And as opportunities become available, now you've made friends and colleagues with other people that are outside your small circle now, and those opportunities now are broadened more so than it probably ever would have been had you just kind of stayed in your bubble and not been willing to go out and have conversations and go out on a limb and take risks in areas that you may not have even thought about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, as I mentor folks, again, one of the people I'm mentoring right now is in manufacturing for a product. And I suggested to her that she travel with a sales rep to kind of see what a day in the life is of a sales rep, the impact that the products that she's manufacturing has on the customer and that sales rep. And on several occasions, folks have said, I've never thought about that. But once they've gone and done it, they're like, wow, that was actually really eye-opening.
Yeah, it changes your mindset. So similar thing in terms of networking, Ron. When you, I know when I went from sales and went in-house into global marketing.
Yeah.
Right. There was so much I learned. When you're out in the field, you go, "Who made that dumb decision?" Right. And
exactly.
You get in-house and then you're in that chair in that meeting.
Right.
But then you realize, and you come to realize that, wow, people are really thinking about all these different scenarios.
Yeah.
And so talk about that, because I'm sure you had that as well when you were out in the field and then went in-house, how that transformed your thought process and broaden your knowledge base.
Well, I mean, you're exactly right. I was one of those people in sales that if customers were really leaning on me real hard about something, I'd point to Chicago and say, man, they're really, giving us a rough time and things are tough. When I got here, and particularly when I kind of transitioned from doing the sales marketing type thing into project management, which was, my opportunity to say, I want to become part of the solution rather than the problem. So it allowed me to kind of look at the processes we have in place and to ask those questions that we talked about in terms of leadership. Okay, so why do we do it this way? How can it be a little bit more efficient? Here's some feedback I'm hearing from the customers. And that was extremely eye-opening. So I came in I learned all the reasons, why things were the way they were. That in itself was eye-opening. Then all of a sudden, I became responsible, as you said, for trying to figure out ways to fix those problems, so that our customers had a better experience with working with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was no buyer's remorse. So really eye-opening.
Yeah, yeah, and that goes right into growth, and that's what our next topic is about. Growth has to be intentional, right? So, what things do you do in your professional and personal life for growth?
Yeah, I think sort of what I said to you is I find opportunities to venture into areas that I'm unfamiliar with, and to see how I can be of assistance. Have no earthly idea of the magnitude of supply chain. So I try to embed myself into what's happening with supply chain so that I can understand and offer some suggestions, but looking at it more from a different lens, if you will, sales, marketing versus supply chain, because I didn't grow up in that particular area. So those are the things that I try to do, is embed myself in areas where I can offer assistance and another set of eyes in areas that I'm not familiar with at all. From a personal standpoint, similar types of things, you know, identifying workshops, attending professional organizations, doing some networking, and that sort of thing to make sure my skills are honed. I waffled back and forth as to whether or not to go get my master's, but I felt like, at that point in my career, I didn't want to be stagnant. I wanted to challenge myself a little bit more. So before I talked myself out of it, I found myself enrolled and just went and did it. So that's, those are the things that I try to do.
Yeah. So, all right. So you got outside your department, maybe, and outside of just your department, to better understand what other people are doing in your organization and how that applies to what impact your role has on them. So then you're expanding your bandwidth, right?
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely love that. So I had this question on here. It says, do you have a mentor? I heard you say that you mentor people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a mentor? And if yes, how has that mentor impacted your professional journey?
The answer is yes. And I would say has allowed me to think a bit broader than I might have. Again, you remember I talked about, getting pigeonholed, and I think, I'm as guilty of that as anyone. And so in having conversations on a quarterly basis with my mentor, I'm able to think of different things that I might not have thought about at all if I didn't have the mentor. So they're giving me bigger perspectives, sharing with me sometimes the why of how decisions are made at higher levels. And so that's kind of been the biggest thing, I would say, of that relationship.
So having a mentor has been valuable to you, in other words.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I figured you were going to say that, but I just, I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
because I want the audience to understand that, being a 26-year veteran in a Fortune 500 company comes with a lot of responsibility and also intentionality in what you're doing in your career in order to continue to progress up the ladder.
Absolutely. And I don't want to give the advice if I don't take it myself.
And look, I better not touch that one, because I was gonna say there's a whole lot of people that they quickly want to give advice, but they're not doing what advice they give. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, would you rather? This is a quick. Would you rather? Would you rather pick the year you die, or pick the way you die?
The way.
The way. All
Yeah.
right. So would you rather have free Apple products forever or free Wi-Fi wherever you go?
Free Wi-Fi wherever I go.
Okay, all right. All right. I didn't want that Apple products. All right. So would you rather have your own private island or your own private jet?
On private jet to get to the island.
Okay, all right. So, audience, I want you to be thinking about these things too, as well. So, two more. Would you rather have $1 million in Amazon gift cards or $100,000 in real money?
$100,000 in real money.
In real money, I'm gonna be Amazon in a way. I'm gonna see I can buy me some gift cards on Amazon.
Exactly.
So would you rather have free gas for 25 years or have your dream car?
Dream car.
Dream car. Okay. Is it electric, you said? Okay.
No, I need the gas.
All right. All right. So, we've all had successes in our lives, and we've talked about some of yours here today. But we've all also failed at one time or another. Tell us about one failure that you've had, and the lesson that you learned from that failure.
Well, Cedrick, I've not had one failure. There's been multiple, and one thing that I can say about them is that it was an opportunity for me to learn. I know that's cliche, but it truly is, because I, for one, don't want to fail. I don't know anyone that intentionally wants to fail, but I think what I've learned and what I've been taught, growing up as well, is that it's those failures that make us better, and that hopefully helps us, if we don't take it too hard, hopefully helps us grow and become better at what we do and find more innovative ways of doing it. So I, for one, am appreciative of the failures that I've had.
Okay. All right. So what's a tidbit of wisdom that you can give our audience that they can use in their personal or professional lives, like tomorrow?
Be present.
Oh, that's strong right there, brother.
Yeah. What and again, just to expand, is be present. In this age of technology, social media, phones, smartphones, that sort of thing, we miss a lot of learnings. We miss a lot of connections with people. When you go into waiting rooms and doctor's offices, everyone's on their phone. Nobody's communicating anymore. Nobody's listening anymore. Nobody's connecting anymore. And that's a lost art now. So we got to relearn how to have communication with people and to be present and to listen and hear what they're saying. So I would say be present.
Be present. I like that. Be present in everything that you do, every way that you can.
Absolutely.
It's extremely important. And if you are a parent out there, let me tell you, there are some things that your children want to hear from you. And one, you have to be present in order to give it to them. There's a lot of data that's out there that says, and here's some things that your kid is waiting to hear from you today, not tomorrow, not next week, not the day after, not when you're busy at work or whatever. They want to hear you face to face. Be present and say this: I love you. I'm proud of you. This is your responsibility. I know that you can. I believe in you. I love you. I'm proud of you. I know that you can. I believe in you. This is your responsibility. There is data that shows that our children are dying to hear this. So It's a little bit off the topic, but it's important for you to know, for you to hear. Go ask
Absolutely.
your child today if you say that enough to them.
Mm-hmm.
I've surveyed students, and here's what they say. Yeah, my parents tell me, but they tell me when I'm getting out the car to go to school or to go somewhere else, and they'll say quickly, I love you. That doesn't do it. They want to see you be present in their face and say, I love you. I'm proud of you. I believe you can. I believe in you. You are enough. This is your responsibility.
Absolutely.
Try it tonight. Be present is what Ron said. I absolutely love that. So Ron, tell us what absolutely excites you right now?
I would say the creativity that's coming out of this whole unfortunate situation that we're in with the pandemic and all. I think people are finding new ways to offer services and solutions. And, with all of the Zoom calls, we're connecting with customers differently than we did before. Folks are just having to exercise their innovativeness now. That's exciting because that tells me that there's going to be some exciting resources and tools and all that kind of stuff that we're going to have available to us in the future that we don't know of right now. But something's going to come out of this unfortunate situation that's going to be breakthrough. So that's exciting.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that. Bernie, I'm going to put this on the screen. Bernie says, be present on conference calls, in meetings, doing strategic sessions.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I love that. So what's one thing, Ron, that's most important to you that we should know?
I think people that know me or that meet me for the first time, I hope that I convey to them that I genuinely care about them and I'm present. So in other words, when I ask you, how are you doing? Right? It's not in passing. Where I ask you that, but you see the back of my head and I don't wait for the answer. So
yeah,
that's one of the things that I hope that people that know me genuinely realize is that if I ask you how you're doing, I genuinely care. And I think that's just something that I grew up with. And, being the oldest boy, 5 sisters, I really had to hone the listening piece of it. So, yeah, I think that would be it.
Okay. So Ron's a Harley rider. I'm going to get him on an open road one day, and we'll have some fun, him and KT and Gresh. We'll get out on an open road and I'll show him what this spider can do. I know Nimrus really wants to get a motorcycle. He doesn't. He says,
I was going to say, I don't think Kathy would go for that, but
yeah, no. When he sees him on the highway, he saw some slingshots recently, and he took some pictures and sent to me. Right. So what type of Harley you drive? You ride, Ron?
So this is my first motorcycle. I hadn't ridden since I was a kid. So to kind of ease into it, I have a Harley Breakout, which is a soft tail. It's got the nice fat tire on the back, which you might have seen in the Batman movies. He's in his motorcycle. He's got the big wide tire in the back. It looks real sporty. So that's the one that I decided to go with to kind of, reintroduce myself to motorcycling. So.
Awesome. Skip Baldino said, great conversation.
Great.
I'm telling him I need to get him on the show.
Exactly. Yeah, bring Skip. Skip's a rider too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that. All right. So Joe said, "Yes, sir. Please convince Kathy."
That's where the sales skills come in handy.
Yes, yes, yes. I just say, hey, give her the card and let her just go shopping. I'll see you later, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So hey, Ron. So I know you're still working at Avid, but what other things are you doing, either in the community or what's next for you?
Yeah. So, as I've mentioned, I talked a little bit about, being heavily involved with the Veterans Network, doing things in the community for not just homeless veterans, but veterans in general. So I'm doing a lot of mentoring from that standpoint. Again, a passion there, but also young kids at risk as well as a passion of mine. And I
Awesome.
think about what's next for me. What keeps bubbling up all the time is just wanting to help kids at risk and to catch them before they get to that age where it's I won't say too late, but where they do something that they will end up regretting. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking I'm kind of leaning towards. I'm not sure exactly how that looks, but
Sure.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's an awesome thing, Ron, to mentor young boys, and we have a mentoring program here. And here's what our creed is, and the program is called Millionaire Boys Mentoring, and our creed is reject passivity, accept responsibility, lead courageously, and live in the flow of God's blessings. And
Absolutely.
amazing, but they get it every session. That's what we start off with.
Yeah.
They always compete for who's going to lead the session when we say that creed for each session. So that is awesome that you want to do that. We know that boys who are at risk are 50. If they have a mentor, they're 55% less likely to drop out of school,
Yeah.
and 55% more likely to go to college. Indeed, right?
Yeah.
They're 130% more likely to be a leader themselves, and 80% more likely to, 90% more likely to want to be a mentor when they had a mentor. So go for that, brother. I like that.
And like you said, if they're not getting that encouragement, the words of encouragement from their parents, at least they might have a mentor who will infuse that with them into.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Gresh says he has 3 Harleys. Now, Gresh, you can't ride 3 Harleys.
Depends on the mood he's in. Which one you rock. Gresh doesn't do anything small, right? Everything's got to be.
Yeah, he's over the top. Yeah. He's definitely over the top. I can't wait to have him on the show because I know that he's electric, and yeah, he's going to be awesome when he comes on the show. So you got to tell me a date, Gresh. But Ron, we know that the journey to leadership is never easy. In fact, we say the John Maxwell team, everything worthwhile is uphill, right? So that means you got to earn it every day. Not some days, not most days, not every other day. Every day you got to earn it when you come in the shop. What makes you get up every day and say, I want to earn this? And you've been doing it for 26 years.
Again, I just told the story of just having relatives that have been in the healthcare system that have used our products. We have awesome products. We have awesome services. And I've seen firsthand the lifestyle changes that have come about as a result of using the products. And that speaks to me each and every day. And so just knowing that we're putting good products out there, we're talking to customers about their experience with us and how we're doing for them and customers. It means a lot because I don't know. I personally don't want to be the one that a customer says, "Man, you guys are not listening to me. Your products are terrible. Your services are terrible." I don't think anybody wants to hear that. So
Sure.
again, that's the thing, is just driving towards making sure that that experience is a good one.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So while you think through this next question, I'm gonna share with you. So, but what I want you to be prepared to answer is, you know, 26 years is a long time. You've been with Abbott, and I know you've had some proud moments of being with Abbott. I'm going to share my proudest moment being with Abbott, but I want you to think through what's your proudest moment that you want to share with the audience. For me, my proudest moment was during Hurricane Katrina.
Mm.
And I was put in charge of the Abbott's response here in Houston, of coordinating everything. And I will never forget getting on a conference call, and it was Mike Collins, Joe Nimmers, Tim Screen, myself, and some other folks. But here's what they said, and I'd never heard it like this before. They said, Cedrick, you just tell us whatever they need. It doesn't have to be an Abbott product. Whatever they need, you just tell us, get us a list, and tell them it's done. And I was like, wow. And, you know, on the phone, I think it was Mike said, look, we are a pretty big company. We have a lot of resources. So don't worry about what's on the list. Just tell them to put us a list together. And let me tell you what, Ron, I'll never forget it. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was at the Astro Arena, and it was an 18-wheeler, two 18-wheelers pulled up. And man, talking about all of the Abbott stuff. Now, this is in addition to all of the money that they've donated and all the other stuff that had been delivered. But at 2 in the morning, these Abbott 18-wheelers show up with all of this stuff on it for this thing. And the way that those people, meaning the healthcare system administrators, were so appreciative of what we were doing, that was my proudest moment in my career.
I remember that. Yeah, that was awesome. If I recall, you got the Chairman's Award for that too, right?
Hey, Chairman's Award, yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Chairman's Award is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I guess in addition to, you know, leading the veterans organization at Abbott, I think for me, one of the biggest was, you know, we had a long period of time where we were under the consent decree, where a lot of our products weren't available. So fast forward after that, I had an opportunity to come into a national account sales manager role, and my responsibility, I had responsibility for Premier. And when I took the role, Abbott wasn't on contract for any of our products, chemistry, immunoassay, hematology, any of those. And in fact, there was at least another year or two left on the existing contract. So here I am coming into a new role that I was supposed to grow, and none of our products were on contract. Well, yeah. Well, fortunately, we came out with our HIV combo assay that was automated. And so I started thinking about different ways that we could interact and so on and so forth. So I decided to take that product and apply to Premier. Premier has what they call a breakthrough technology. So new technologies that come out that are innovative on the market, in the marketplace, they will bolt on to the contract, the existing contract, if it's innovative. So I said, you know what? Let me give this a shot. I know that we had done it with the, I think we had done it with the Axum architect, didn't get on, that sort of thing. So I said, hey, it's a long shot, but let me try to see if I can get some traction with this. So I went through all the process of submitting all the requirements to get breakthrough. Technology Award. And lo and behold, Abbott's first ever technology breakthrough contract with Premier, we got that. So what it allowed us now to do is to have conversations with folks that we didn't have access to. So it gave us access to people that we would not have otherwise had access to by doing that. And so, man, it was a very humbling experience for me. It was a long shot because, again, products hadn't gotten on there, but that made me proud because otherwise, again, we were just kind of sitting there waiting for their existing contract to end. So
yeah. So, folks, what Ron is talking about, even though that is the conversation we're having is specifically around Abbott, but what bigger picture, what I need you to understand what he's talking about. What he's saying is you have to be innovative in your thought processes. You have to be willing to think outside of the box. You have to be willing to go beyond yourself in these processes. And whether you're an entrepreneur listening tonight or whether you are an employee in an organization as an individual contributor, if you are a leader in an organization, you have to be innovative. You have to think outside the box. You need to go be bigger than yourself. You need to help other people be creative in their thought processes. That's really what he's talking about right here, folks. I need you to get his point and understand what he's saying. Ron, man, this hour has like gone by quickly. Yeah. And I want to tell you, brother, I appreciate you coming on here tonight. I know that people got some really good stuff from you joining us tonight. And again, Ron and I we're not just like Abbott colleagues. We are really good friends. And I've been knowing Ron for a long almost, well, see, of my 22 years, I knew Ron 20 years because I met him my second year within Abbott. So it's been a long time.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm still waiting for him to pick up that microphone and put that baby face Evans song together.
Don't hold your breath, man. But it's always good visiting with you. Always good seeing you, man. And keep doing the great things you're doing.
Absolutely, brother. Well, I appreciate it. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed the session tonight. If you did, type in the comments, yes, you enjoyed it. We're having Ron on. Tomorrow night is Tuesday, July 28th. You know, we have another show, Talk Leadership with Cedrick. Our special guest tomorrow night will be Miss Angela Hooper Minifield. She's a friend of mine. She's a business partner of mine, and she will be on the show at 5:30 Central Time. And then stay with us now, because at 6:30 Central Time, we're going to switch over to the Empowered Living Network, where we have over 1.9 million subscribers. So I need you to come and join us on that network tomorrow night, right? And Angela and myself are co-founders in a group called the Black Entrepreneurs Institute. So at 6:30 every Tuesday night Central, we will be live. So 5:30, be here with me, with Angela. 6:30, let's go to the Empowered Living Network. Come back to Facebook at 7:30 Central, because my daughter will be on with Talk with TK. And she's going to be talking about mindset when the Mindset 180 Academy. You know, folks, if you're not at the table, you are on the menu. Don't be on the menu. So join us tomorrow night for Talk Leadership with Cedrick. Everybody needs a little TLC.